Hello, everyone, and welcome to Broad Street Hockey. We're here to ask the important questions. Flyers training camp is going on. We already experienced a preseason win. They're never going to lose again. But we're here
Shootout
to
win.
get shootout win. Exactly. We're here to get to the down and dirty of this prospect that people are talking about now. It's not Porter Martone. It's not Jet Luchenko. It's Jack Nesbitt, the polarizing player selected 12th overall just last June, has made a real strong impact. He's using his 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", whatever he measured at, frame to protect the puck, do all these good things. And he's getting noticed by Flyers management. So we're here to ask the important question of, could he really make a tryout or get that 9-game little appearance at the end of camp? And I'm here with the lovely Jacob Russell. Jacob, that's a great
Hi.
start. Jake, what are your initial thoughts? You wrote about it on broadstreethockey.com of can he really do this? Can he pull a Jet Luchenko and do something like that? But what are your thoughts?
Well, we saw last year, right? I mean, with Jet, um, a guy taken even further back in the first round than Jack Nesbitt was, right? 12th overall. It's not out of the realm of possibility that a guy taken that high will make an appearance in the NHL. But I don't think anyone coming into camp was really looking at that possibility. I think everyone once Porter Martone committed to Michigan State. I think everyone just sort of thought, okay, well, that just throw that out. Nobody's getting that 9-game tryout this year. Nobody's going to be able to make enough of an impact in this short of a time to jump to the NHL. But Nesbitt, like you said, he's got the frame to do it. It's not as if he's going to get out physicaled in his time there. He's not going to get physically dominated, you'd assume. And while his puck skills and his skating aren't necessarily there, if he looks like he can keep up with the guys around him, rewarding a guy who has a good camp and a good preseason with some time in the NHL has never been proven to be a bad thing.
No, exactly. I think what it comes down to is opportunity. And I think Nesbitt has taken everything that he's had in front of him. Like, he had dev camp, strong performance there, kind of showed a little bit. And again, the scouting reports and everything that we saw in Windsor whenever we watched him last year was just skating. He looks like he's trying out there, but it's still, the actual speed is slow. You're not discovering this like newfound speed or anything. So at dev camp, he played well. At rookie camp, he kind of impressed and was like, oh, this is why he was a first round pick. His playmaking ability and an ability to just like read the ice extremely well was fully on display. And then we're here at training camp, and it's looking the exact same. Last night we saw in the preseason game that, sure, like, he was playing more of a depth role, but it was still a very solid performance of getting in, retrieving pucks, being able to be in that supporting role. And what we've known, even like, it's a terrible comparison, but Sean Couturier do, like, with talented wingers, is that he was able to be kind of that F3 and traditional center role and just provide initial support and be able to, like, just act as like, I'm here just in case things break down. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's just almost something that works in his favor as well,
Mhm.
right, too? Because even again, horrible comparison, not going to actually, turn out to be anything near this, as of right now, but you saw Matthew Tkachuk being a slug, just kinda, like, completely unable
Oh
to
yeah,
unhitch the
yeah.
trailer for an entire playoff run, right?
Mhm.
And you can, if you have the puck skill, and the hockey sense to kind of keep up with the play, makes spring guys who are maybe quicker than you on long stretch passes while supporting the play and being a defensive stalwart. I think that almost works in Nesbitt's favor because he doesn't have to be much more than that. I don't think the Flyers are expecting him to do that. Whereas if someone like Luchenko last year, it was hard to keep him in the NHL because you wanted off the bat to see a bit more offensive production, just anything at all, right? More than what you did in order to feel good about keeping him up in the NHL. Nesbitt's not necessarily going to have that problem. He's also not necessarily going to be considered for staying beyond the 9-game window,
Yeah.
but he's gonna be out there to play that same depth role that he's doing in preseason currently. So if the Flyers think that he can match up with a guy like a Garnet Hathaway or maybe a Bobby Brink on a third line, something of that nature, we'll never know how the lines are going to shake out
Yeah.
until the first regular season game, honestly. But maybe he can stick in between two guys and look good for a little bit before he heads back to Windsor.
Yeah, like it's again just all about what he was able to do, and preseason was good. Training camp is good so far, and we'll see obviously with more preseason games coming, and he'll probably play a pretty big role of as the Flyers try to make this decision. But I think it ultimately comes down to a lot of opportunity, not with what he's already done, but opportunity in the lineup. The huge conversation around the Flyers is obviously Nikita Grubenkin, Alex Bump, and Jet Luchenko are fighting for spots, and they have certainly earned that reputation of like these are the guys, these are the top forwards that are fighting for this supposed one or maybe two, if how they feel about Nick Delorier, that spot. So it comes down to I think if those guys weren't in front of Nesbitt, I could see a world kind of like Braden Coots is experiencing in Vancouver right now. He already signed his ELC and everything like that. Um, that he would be able to just walk in and make his tryout, and because he has that body and that physicality that you were talking about of already being somewhat NHL ready, we'd be able to test him and see that like can he handle the way that Jet Luchenko was able to handle himself in the NHL. And Jet wasn't marvelous offensively or dazzling or anything like that, especially that he had Mitchkov, the other rookie, ahead of him, and we all got to see that. But um if he was able to just play in a fourth line or a third line role and handle himself already at 18 years old and then head back to juniors, then I feel like it would just be a test and like a box checked on Nesbitt and be like, that is he's able to do that. Now he goes back, develops. Let's see you next year and really take that step forward. I think that is a strong that would be a strong possibility if it weren't for Luchenko existing and like even bumping Gurbenkin being on the wings of Nesbitt potentially being a winger, like to start in the NHL or something like that. But
Yeah.
especially with Luchenko already there and dealing with the exact same thing as like last year and having to choose between NHL or OHL, it muddies the waters for me, and I think it lowers the ultimate chance unless there's like injuries to Noah Cates or Christian Dvorak coming up, or even like Sean Couturier is a little hurt to open the season. Um, it's a little bit harder for me to see that, but it's honestly like it's really a testament to what Nesbitt has been able to do this summer and like in front of us and at camp and everything that it's even a question.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's looked good, and again, it there's sort of a way I can formulate it in my mind where it kind of fits his situation really well, like the roster makeup, because you could see a world where Delorier or Rodrigo Abels, um, who scored last night. Shout out
Yeah.
to Rod the
Beauty.
Bod last game. Rod the Bod putting one in low glove off the assist from Jack Nesbitt himself. And
That's what we're
like
talking
you
about.
could see a reality where Abel starts in the AHL. Delorier is just a taxi guy. He's in the press box. He's there as a vibe, and in case anyone, needs uh
Their face punched in.
secret service protection on the
Yeah.
ice or whatever, like he's there for that reason. We all know what he's not going to play 82 games regardless. I could see Nesbitt, play 4C for 5 or 6 games, even if it's not the full 9, right?
Mhm.
It kind of makes sense because the guys who are wingers, like, you wanna see more of a sustained level of NHL play from Gurbenkin. You wanna see if Bump can score in the NHL the sorts of ways he has, in the NCAA and the A in his short time in the AHL, right? And he can have those stretches of offense. Nesbitt's kinda like, yeah, we know he's not necessarily ready for full-time NHL duty, but if he shows enough in the remaining preseason and camp, window here, why not? It would make sense. It's a low stakes thing for pretty much everybody involved, and I'm sure Nesbitt himself would love to get involved in some actual NHL games, and even if it's not anything long term, it would give him that extra boost when he goes back to Windsor to try and really level up that offensive game and make himself, a prospect that, people can really get excited about in the way that they do Martone, Mishkov, or, um, somebody on more
Someone
so the
else.
high level,
Yeah.
high skill ceiling guys, like, not just have us sit here like, yeah, he can be Sean Couturier,
Right.
but
Like if Jack Nesbitt's
Anglophone,
tall, like taller Sean Couturier, that's from Sarnia,
Anglophone
Ontario.
Coots,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess,
yeah.
even though he
Sorry,
was born in like Arizona.
yeah. But I think the one major also question with Nesbitt is he hasn't signed his entry level deal. So him signing his entry level deal because he would have to play in the NHL, obviously, sign a contract that negates the opportunity to potentially be in the NCAA. Not next season, obviously, because he's committed to Windsor. He's going to be back with the Spitfires, um, but that gets rid of the opportunity to be 19 years old and play in the NCAA. Now, the interesting thing, obviously, with that is that that might be okay because also starting next year is that ruling that the AHL is allowed to have one 19-year-old by a team's choosing. Um, I don't see any other 19, potential 19-year-olds that from the CHL rather. So if
Yeah,
Sagi was like, I'm done school after 2 years, I'm
yeah.
good. He could sign his contract and play in the AHL and doesn't count against the one. It's the CHL
No,
players.
it is just CHL
And
players, yeah.
and to my knowledge, I don't think Nathan Quinn is suddenly good enough to
No, I
to
I
play in the
don't
NHL
I
next year.
don't think Nathan Quinn is gonna play in the NHL next season. Hot
Yeah.
take.
Yeah. So like if that happens, even like a Matthew Guard or something like a step above, but I think he's comfortable. Guard is probably a good candidate to be in the NCAA, but that would take away his opportunity to be in the NCAA and start college. But with that AHL ruling, it feels like Nesbitt's a prime candidate for next season 26-27 for him to start there or even just be in the NHL and the Flyers can have that decision of should Guard play in the AHL, like could we have that guy like do that because he's another big body potentially played pretty well whatever, he's still not sent back to juniors for some reason. That's interesting. um but yeah, like it's I think it's just there's so many other avenues and possibilities with Nesbitt now that have opened up so much more since draft night. Like in my head, it was just like, oh, he's a slow, big body, whatever. But after watching him so much more, especially at an NHL training camp, it he's shown like there's actually a possibility for him to play NHL games like this season. In my mind, he can do that. So it's crazy to think about it, but it's just like I think it's a really interesting question that would be even more interesting if there weren't other prospects and rookies
Yeah.
potentially trying to make the Flyers this season. But it's honestly like I'm super excited about Nesbitt. Just to have a big ass dude that's has some skill. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And again, just to kinda wrap it up here or
Yeah.
start to wrap it up here, but I think he's one of those guys as well when you talk about next season. I think he's a guy who could learn on the job in terms of how
Yeah.
to create offense in the NHL. I don't know how much I would be swayed by him going back to Windsor, not this season, but the following season, and putting up, let's say, 95 points or 85 points, right, in the OHL. I don't know how much that would sway me, to think that, yeah, okay, he has developed this
I think he's putting
big
up
o he's
85-95 this year. Like
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah, so let's say, like, if he does that 2 years
If
in a
he
row.
if he like does
Because
triple digits, it's like okay.
Martone was
Yeah.
similar
Yeah.
in his 3rd and 4th year or 2nd and 3rd year. I mean, he was good basically every year. He was in Mississauga or Brampton, but, um, like, where he has 2 straight years of, like, 85, 95 point
Yeah.
production in the OHL. I personally think that after this season, if you feel like you see enough, it's not crazy to think about him maybe giving him a chance to make it out of camp, especially when, guys like Christian Dvorak, you don't know if he's gonna be here next year. Abels is
Mhm.
similar. Deloria is similar, or he'll at least be in
Couturier
his re
holds
he'll
up.
be in his reduced
Yeah.
role again, right? So and that's part of, right, the youth movement is going to really take shape in the next season, I think, especially if Martone makes that jump as well. We're gonna have a lot of guys, Oliver Bonk. So Nesbitt, he could find his way into the fray, and I think he has the opportunity to make that interesting, but right now, he has put himself into conversation to at least get some time in the NHL, get his feet wet, and then see how exactly he acclimates to it. I mean, I think we're both of the agreement that he's not going to play past 9 games. Like, it would literally take an act of God, but
Yeah. And well, yeah, especially like this season, I think it'd take a lot even for him to make like we asked the question, but it's also like there's just so many other factors and other players that are further along their development where the Flyers don't need to take like, oh, this 18-year-old and do that with him. So
no.
this is definitely a question that is much more interesting next season. But right now it's just like we're riding the Jack Nesbitt hype train. That's all I'm doing.
Crazy train to get on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big train.
The train's huge. The train has like 15 cars.
Train's massive. Read broadsheethockey.com. Subscribe. If you're watching this right now, why not hit the like button? If you like this, there's going to be a lot more just short little conversations around stuff going on with the Flyers all season long. So stick with us. Broad Street Hockey forever.